Welcome to Cooking with AI, where we show you how to use the latest AI tools as your ultimate kitchen companion. Whether it's perfecting a classic or creating something new, AI can help you cook smarter, not harder. Today, we are tackling one of the most iconic recipes in the world, chocolate chip cookies. Instead of just following a recipe, I'll show you how to use AI to customize it, enhancing flavor, adapting it for different diets, and even adjusting the size of the cookies to get exactly the texture you want. For this demo, I'm using Sally's Baking Addiction chocolate chip cookie recipe as our starting point. It's a classic base that many home bakers trust, and I've made it myself many times. This is a great recipe. The first way we'll use AI is to explore flavor upgrades. Maybe you want something nutty or caramelized, some fruit involved, or even a touch of salt to balance sweetness. Instead of guessing, you can ask AI directly to change the outcome that you want. Let's jump into ChatGPT and see how it can help. We'll start with the prompt. Here is Sally's Baking Addiction chocolate chip cookie recipe. Suggest 3 flavor enhancements to make it more interesting while keeping the texture chewy. And I've added the link there to the recipe so ChatGPT can refer to it. So ChatGPT straight away getting to work, offering us a couple of alternatives for flavor. Brown butter and espresso powder. Okay, this sounds great. Swap the melted butter for browned butter. It adds a nutty, toffee-like depth to the flavor, and espresso intensifies the chocolate without making the cookies taste like coffee. Option 2, toasted nuts and sea salt. Add half a cup of finely chopped toasted pecans or walnuts and finish the cookies with a sprinkle of sea salt on top. The effect here, the nuts give a subtle crunch and roasted flavor that balances the sweetness while the sea salt enhances the chocolate and deepens the overall profile. And the third option, orange zest and cardamom. Now this sounds really interesting to me. Mix in 1 teaspoon of finely grated orange zest and half a teaspoon of ground cardamom into the sugar before creaming it with the butter. This brings a warm aromatic lift and citrus brightness that plays beautifully with the rich chocolate and keeps the cookies feeling fresh, not heavy. As someone who loves chocolate and orange as a combination, I think that sounds great. Next, let's move to dietary swaps. Whether you're baking for gluten-free, vegan, or you just want to reduce sugar, AI can quickly help you adapt recipes without losing texture. So let's give it another prompt, and we'll stay here in this same chat. Since we want to look at the original recipe, we'll include that in our prompt. So adapt the original recipe to be gluten-free, suggest the substitutions, and explain how they affect the texture. So a couple of ways we can do this. One is with the flour by substituting gluten-free flour, and it'll explain to you what the effect on the texture is. If we did substitute, say, King Arthur or Bob's Red Mill all-purpose gluten-free flour, cookies will be slightly more tender and may spread differently, so chilling the dough becomes extra important. Another way we could do it is using oats. We want to make sure the oats are certified gluten-free because regular oats can be cross-contaminated. Thanks ChatGPT for telling us that, because my guest is actually celiac and I want to make sure that they're safe when they come in to enjoy cookies with me. Effect on texture seems to be minimal. No impact on spread, and the chewiness remains the same. The last option is to add some almond or oat flour alongside the gluten-free blend. And ChatGPT is letting us know here that almond flour adds richness and chew, and oat flour brings out softness and nuttiness. So these are great little extra tips if you want to have that flour boost for chewiness. It also gives some tips on baking adjustments. So the dough may need to be chilled for longer, maybe the bake time needs to be shorter, and you might expect a slightly more delicate crumb. So this is a great adaptation of Sally's famous recipe for a couple of different dietary requirements. What if our guest was also vegan? Let's continue this thread and see where we go if we want to make this recipe vegan as well. So the gluten-free adaptation is now going to be made vegan. We'll need to substitute butter, we'll need to substitute eggs, and we'll also need to make sure that our chocolate chips are dairy-free. You can get those at a few different places, and ChatGPT is actually even telling us where you might find them. Again, a couple of baking adjustments, so some really good tips here to help support a great cookie outcome. Finally, let's try one of my favorite uses of AI when altering a recipe, changing the cookie size. Smaller cookies we know bake faster and become crisper, while big bakery-style jumbo cookies, yum, need longer in the oven to stay gooey in the middle. Let's ask ChatGPT again to use the original recipe, adjust the baking time and temperature for the original recipe if I roll the dough into 20 gram, 50 gram, and 80 gram balls. Now, maybe you don't want to measure out the size of the balls here, but it is helpful if you have a kitchen scale to do that. And then tell me how the size affects the texture. Cookie size has a big impact on baking time, spread, and final texture. And here's how ChatGPT recommends adapting Sally's original chewy chocolate chip recipe for different size dough balls. Each one you can see has a different baking time. It describes the texture for you, and it lets you know what temperature the oven might need to be at. And look, for those really big bakery style cookies, you might need to start a little higher and lower to get the right level of cook through the middle of the cookie so that it's not soft and maintains that cookie texture. This is really useful advice if you're going to try different size cookies. So as you can see, this is where AI really shines, and you can instantly see how baking science shifts depending on the various elements and aspects of the recipe we want to alter. So in a few prompts, we've explored how AI can add creative flavor twists. We've seen it adapt for dietary needs and also perfect the texture for the size of the cookie that you want to make. This isn't about replacing recipes. This is about really making them yours. If you found this helpful, hit like and subscribe for more cooking with AI tips. Each week, we'll show you how to take everyday recipes and turn them into something personal, practical, and delicious, all with the help of AI.